When you get older, people assume your heart gets quieter too, that your world slows, your emotions soften, and nothing shocks you anymore. But the day my daughter-in-law, Maya, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You're not allowed to see your grandson anymore," my world didn't just shake. It cracked. It happened on ordinary Thursday morning. I had baked a tray of chocolate chip cookies, the kind little Liam loved so much that he used to hug my leg and beg, "Grandma, more cookie, please." He was only 5, but he had the sweetest smile I'd ever seen in my life. I walked up to their house humming, holding the warm tray under my arm. But the moment the front door opened, Maya didn't smile. She didn't welcome me in. She didn't even let me finish saying hello. She stared me down like I was someone she despised. "Why are you here unannounced?" she snapped. I blinked. "Unannounced, Maya, sweetheart, it's Thursday. I always pick Liam up on Thursdays. You asked me to do it, remember? You said it helped with your schedule." Her expression hardened. Well, things have changed. Something in her tone made my stomach dip, but I managed a small smile. "Where is he?" "I can wait. You're not seeing him." She cut me off sharply. "Not today. Not this week. Not at all." My heart clenched. "Maya, what are you talking about?" She crossed her arms, her lips curling in a cold smirk. "Honestly, I think it's time you stop interfering. Liam needs stability. He doesn't need an old woman confusing him with ideas that don't match how we raise him." "Confusing him?" I repeated, stunned. "I've never, Maya, I love him. I only ever..." "Exactly," she hissed. "You smother him. You spoil him. And you undermine me?" "Undermine." I had never contradicted her in my life. "Maya, please," I whispered. "Where is Liam? Does he know I'm here?" She gave a dry laugh. "I told him you're busy or sick. Something like that." "Sick." She told him I was sick. My chest tightened painfully. "Why would you tell him that?" "Because," she said, leaning forward like she wanted to twist the knife deeper, "I don't want him getting too attached to you. It makes things harder." "Harder for who?" I asked softly. "For me," she snapped. "I'm his mother. I make the decisions, and I've decided you're no longer part of his routine." I reached for the doorframe, my knees unsteady. "So you're banning me from my own grandson?" "If that's how you want to phrase it," she said with a shrug. "Why, Maya? What did I do?" Her eyes glinted with something cruel. "Honestly, I'm tired of you acting like you're more important in his life than I am. He talks about you every day. He cries when you leave. Do you know how that makes me look?" "It makes you look like he loves you both," I whispered. "No," she spat. "It makes me look like I'm failing." Ah, there it was. Not my actions. Not something I'd done. Her insecurity. "Maya," I said gently, "you're a wonderful mother. Liam loves you." "Stop," she hissed angrily. "This isn't about compliments. This is about boundaries." "But banning me," I whispered, voice breaking. "He's my grandson." She rolled her eyes. "He's my son, and I decide who he sees." My heart pounded in my ears. "Does James know?" My son. Her husband. Her expression changed just slightly, but enough for me to see the guilt flicker behind her eyes. "I'll handle James," she said shortly. Meaning no, he didn't know. "Maya, please," I begged softly. "Let me see him. Just say goodbye. Just hug him. 1 minute. That's all I'm asking." I said no. I tried to step forward, not into the house, but just to get her attention. But she immediately slammed her hand on the door. "Back up," she snapped, "or I'll call security. I'm serious. Security. On me, his grandmother." I stepped back slowly, my chest burning like someone had poured acid inside. Maya lifted her chin triumphantly. Good. Now you're getting it. The door began to close, but I blurted out, "What did I ever do to deserve this?" She paused, her smile returning, sharp, satisfied, poisonous. "You loved him too much, that's all." Then she slammed the door, right in my face. I stood there frozen, the warm cookie tray melting in my hands as everything inside me collapsed. My world shattered. I didn't remember walking back to my car. I didn't remember driving home. I didn't remember how the cookies ended up on my kitchen counter. All I remembered was the numbness spreading through my body like frostbite. How do you breathe when someone steals a piece of your heart? How do you stand when someone rips away the only joy you look forward to? Liam wasn't just my grandson. He was my light, my hope, my reason to wake up some days. And in one cruel moment, Maya ripped him away from me like I was nothing, like I was a threat instead of a grandmother who loved him with her whole being. I sank into my chair shaking, tears streaming silently down my cheeks. But as the minutes passed, something inside me shifted, not loudly, not angrily, quietly, but with a force I'd never felt before. Because the thing Maya didn't know, the thing she never bothered to consider, was that I wasn't powerless. She thought she could control everything, but she forgot one thing. I had one phone call, just one, that could change everything. And when she pushed me too far, I made it. She had no idea what was coming. For hours I sat in that kitchen chair, unable to move. The house was silent, painfully silent, like it understood something terrible had happened, like it was grieving with me. But grief wasn't the only thing sitting in that room. There was something else too. A slow, simmering heat building deep inside my chest, a heat I hadn't felt in years. Not anger, not rage, something calmer, sharper, a resolve. Because as much as Maya wanted to paint me as weak, as old, as in the way, she forgot who I really was. I raised her husband, my son, almost completely on my own after my ex walked out on us. I worked 2 jobs, went to night classes, survived nights with no dinner so he could eat. I fought through life while she grew up in comfort. She had no idea what strength looked like. Not until today. I wiped my tears, stood up slowly, and walked to the living room. One framed photo caught my eye. Liam and me sitting in the backyard, him laughing as I held him on my lap. His little curls sticking out in every direction, ice cream smeared across his cheeks, his smile big enough to brighten the whole world. My heart cracked again, but this time it cracked open, not closed. Mama doesn't give up. I whispered to myself. Grandmothers don't give up. And Maya, she had no clue who she had just gone to war with. I picked up my phone. Not the house phone, the old one. The phone with the contacts nobody else even knew I still had. I scrolled slowly, my finger hovering over names from decades ago. People from my past life. People Maya didn't even know existed. People my son barely remembered. People who held power Maya couldn't imagine. But before I called anyone, I needed to calm my heart. I sat down, inhaled deeply, and let the tears dry on my cheeks. Then I dialed a number I hadn't called in 15 years. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a warm, familiar voice answered. Margaret, is that you? Hearing his voice nearly broke me open again. Hello, Daniel, I whispered. It's been a long time. There was a pause on the other end, one filled with surprise, confusion, maybe even concern. Are you all right? He asked softly. I closed my eyes. Actually, no, I'm not. What happened? He asked immediately, voice tightening with worry. I hesitated, then finally said the words, my daughter. In-law has banned me from seeing my grandson. Daniel exhaled sharply. That's not just cruel, that's abusive. Why? Because she feels threatened by how much he loves me? I whispered. She slammed the door in my face, lied to James, told Liam I'm sick, and now she's cutting me out completely. There was a long, heavy silence. Then Daniel spoke with a calm intensity I remembered well. Margaret, you called the right person. My throat tightened. I didn't want to involve you. Not after all these years. You should have called me sooner, he said. You're family to me. You always were. Family. Something Maya seemed determined to erase from my life. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Daniel, I don't want revenge. I just want to see my grandson. I want to protect him. I understand, he said. And the good news? You don't need revenge. You need law, because what she's doing is illegal. I blinked. Illegal? Yes, Margaret, he said firmly. You have rights, grandparents' rights, especially if you played a primary role in the child's upbringing, which you clearly did. And from what you just told me, there may be grounds for emotional abuse and parental alienation. My breath caught. Parental alienation. Yes, he said. When a parent intentionally manipulates a child to damage or sever a healthy bond with the other parent or close family member, courts take that very seriously. I stared at the wall, stunned. I didn't know. Most grandparents don't. He replied gently, but luckily you called someone who does. Daniel, what are you now? I asked shakily. A lawyer. He chuckled. Something like that. I oversee family cases now. And if necessary, I can assign you to the best attorney in the entire county. My heart pounded. Daniel, I don't want to hurt my son. You won't? He said gently. But Maya, she needs a reality check, a legal one. I exhaled shakily. What do I do? I'll take care of everything, he said. But first, I need you to tell me everything, every detail. So I did, from the moment she opened the door, to her accusing me of smothering Liam, to calling security, to lying to my grandson that I was sick. Daniel didn't interrupt once. But I heard his breathing change from calm to tight, controlled, angry. When I finished, he spoke in a low, firm voice. This ends now. For the first time that day, a flicker of hope sparked inside me. What happens next? I whispered. First, he said, I'll file something that will force Maya to cooperate, force her to communicate, force her to give access. She won't have a choice. A tremor ran through me. Will she know it was me? No, Daniel said. All she'll know is the law is watching now. I closed my eyes, a single tear slipping down my cheek. Thank you, I whispered. You don't need to thank me, he said warmly. Just remember, you're not alone, and you're not powerless. After we hung up, I sat there for a long moment, my phone resting in my lap. Then a soft sound broke the silence, a notification, a single message from Daniel. It read, she took your grandson. Now we take your power back. I exhaled slowly, feeling something inside me strengthen, something Maya never expected. Because the one phone call she never dreamed I'd make, I had just made it. And her life, as she knew it, was about to change forever. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. My sleep had been restless, my dreams broken into pieces of fear, sadness, and memories of Liam running into my arms with that sweet little laugh of his. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone. half expecting Maya to have sent something, a text, a threat, a warning. But there was nothing. Silence can be louder than words, especially cruel silence. I walked into the kitchen, made myself tea, and tried to calm the trembling in my hands. Today wasn't just another day. Today was the day everything began changing. Because Daniel wasn't the type of man to let injustice breathe too long. At exactly 9:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was him. I answered immediately. "Daniel." "Good morning." "Margaret," he said calmly. "I filed the first petition." My heartbeat quickened. "What does that mean?" "It means," he replied, "that Maya will receive a formal notice within hours. And once she does, she will legally be required to respond. She can't ignore you anymore. The law will force her hand." I exhaled slowly, a mixture of relief and fear washing over me. "What do I need to do?" "Nothing yet," he said. "Just be prepared. She's not going to react well." He was right, because she reacted sooner than either of us expected. At 10:03 a.m., my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Not a delivery, not a visitor, and definitely not Maya. But when I opened the door, there she was, standing on my front porch, arms crossed tightly, jaw clenched so hard I could see her teeth pressing together. Her hair was messy, her eyes red, like she hadn't slept. "What did you do?" she snapped. I blinked. "Maya?" "No," she hissed, pointing her finger in my face. "Don't act innocent. I just got a notice from the court. Why are you involving the law? Are you insane?" My heart raced. "Maya, you took my grandson from me. What did you expect me to do? Sit quietly and accept it? You had no right?" She screamed. "No right to drag me into some legal drama. You're trying to make me look like a bad mother." "I didn't make you look like anything," I said softly. "Your actions speak for themselves." Her nostrils flared. "You think you're so perfect, so innocent. You think everyone should bow to you because you're old and frail and play the victim?" "I'm not playing anything," I said. "I'm protecting the child I love." "You don't love him like I do," she spat. My voice hardened. "I love him with every breath in my body." She took one step closer, lowering her voice into a vicious whisper. "Liam is MY's son, not yours. I decide who he sees. And now, after this stunt, he will MVR see you again." Something inside me snapped, not angrily, but with crystal clarity. "Maya," I said quietly, "you don't have that kind of power." Her eyes widened, surprised at my tone. "What did you just say?" I said. I repeated, "You don't have that kind of power. Not anymore." She laughed, a sharp, bitter laugh. "You think the law will help you? You think anyone cares about some grandmother? You're delusional." "No," I said, looking her dead in the eye. "But they care about the emotional well-being of a child, and they care about parents who manipulate." Her smile vanished immediately. "You wouldn't dare accuse me of that," she whispered. "You accused yourself," I replied. "The moment you lied to him about me being sick. The moment you tried to sever his bond with me. The moment you slammed that door in my face." Her chest rose and fell rapidly. She was losing control. "You know what your problem is?" she yelled. "You think you're important? You think Liam likes you more because you give him cookies and hugs. Well, newsflash, children grow out of grandmothers. They don't need you forever." I felt my heart twist painfully, but I didn't show it. "And you're jealous of that," I said softly. Her expression froze. "You're jealous of the love he gives freely," I continued, "because you don't understand love unless you control it." "Shut up," she growled. "You're scared he loves me," I said. scared he sees me as safety, as warmth, as home. I say I'd... She screamed, her voice echoing through the neighborhood. A curtain in the house next door shifted. Someone was watching. Embarrassment flickered across her face, but quickly hardened into rage. "This isn't over," she snarled. "I will fight you. I will destroy you in court." I looked at her calmly. "You can try." She shook her head in disbelief, taking a step backward. "You're really doing this? You're really going to war with me?" "No," I said. "You went to war with me the moment you used a child as a weapon." For a moment, she just stared at me, breathing hard, chest rising and falling, her whole body trembling with fury. Then she spit out her final words. "You think you've won because you made one phone call? You think someone's going to rescue you?" I didn't blink. He already did. Her expression twisted. She didn't know who I called, but she knew it was someone powerful enough to scare her. "Pathetic old woman," she hissed. Then she turned and stormed down my steps, heels clicking violently against the concrete. She got into her car and slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. The engine roared to life, and she sped away, leaving skid marks on my driveway. I exhaled, shakily closing my door. My entire body trembled, but there was something else beneath the fear. Strength. Because for the first time, truly the first time, I wasn't the one breaking. She was. Her panic told me everything. She underestimated me. And now she was terrified. My phone buzzed again. It was Daniel. His message read, "I saw the filing was delivered. Don't worry. Her reaction means the strategy is working." I sank into my chair, tears of relief filling my eyes. Maya wanted to silence me, erase me, cut me out like I was disposable. But she forgot one thing: I wasn't alone anymore. And the war she thought she was winning, it had barely begun. The rest of the day passed in a haze, though I tried to pretend everything was normal. I swept the kitchen floor. I watered the plants. I folded laundry that didn't really need folding. But no matter what I did, my mind kept replaying Maya's face on my porch, twisted with anger, fear, and something else, a panic. She wasn't just angry I involved the law. She was afraid. But afraid of what? Afraid of losing control. Afraid of the truth coming out. Afraid of what the court would uncover. I didn't know yet, but I would soon. At around 6 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Another message from Daniel. "Need to talk? Call when you're ready." My stomach knotted. What now? I sat on the couch and dialed him immediately. He answered in a low, serious voice. "Margaret, I'm glad you called. What happened?" I asked, heart pounding. I started reviewing the initial documents, he said. And well, something came up. A chill slipped down my spine. "Something bad?" "Not for you," he replied. "For her." I waited. Then Daniel continued, "In cases like this, we always look at parenting habits, cooperation between parents and extended family, communication patterns, her social behavior." "Daniel, what did you find?" "She isn't as perfect as she claims," he said. "Not even close." I held my breath. He sighed. "Listen to me carefully. Margaret, the court always asks one question first. Is the parent acting in the best interest of the child? Everything depends on that. And she isn't," I whispered. "No," he said firmly. "Not based on what I'm seeing." I swallowed hard. "What exactly did you find?" "That's the strange part," he said. "There are numerous complaints from neighbors. Reports of loud arguing, neglect, emotional volatility, even suspicion of, well, possible endangerment. Endangerment." My heart dropped. No. I whispered. No. No, Maya wouldn't. She wouldn't hurt Liam. I'm not saying she hurts him, Daniel assured. But she may not be emotionally stable. And unstable parents sometimes make reckless choices. I felt my breath shake. Are you sure? I'm looking at verified notes, he said, filed by multiple sources. I stared at the wall, a heaviness forming in my chest. Then Daniel asked softly, Margaret, have you ever seen anything odd? I closed my eyes, and suddenly old memories resurfaced, moments I'd brushed aside, moments I should have questioned. Like the time Liam told me, whispering, Mummy gets really mad when Daddy isn't home. Like how he flinched when Maya raised her voice. Like how he hesitated before hugging her. Like how his eyes had a fear in them I didn't understand. I didn't want to think it. I didn't want to believe it. But now everything made horrible sense. Margaret, Daniel said gently. Are you there? I'm here, I whispered. What's wrong? I'm remembering things. I murmured, things that didn't seem important before. Tell me. I explained everything, every detail, every little sign. Daniel was silent for a moment. Then he spoke firmly. This goes beyond visitation rights now. My heart thudded. What do you mean? This is turning into a child welfare case, he said. If Maya's behavior is harming Liam, or if she's emotionally unstable, the court can take very serious action. My breath caught. Action? Like what? Like supervised visitation, he said, or mandatory counseling. In extreme cases, even temporary removal of custody. I pressed my hand to my chest, stunned. You're saying she could lose custody? She won't lose custody permanently unless something extreme is proven, he assured. But temporary restrictions? Yes, absolutely yes. I let out a shaky exhale. Margaret, he continued, I want you to understand what's happening. Your one phone call didn't just open a case. It opened a door to everything the court has been quietly watching for months. Months. I felt dizzy. So Maya was already on their radar? I asked. Yes, he said, which means the system was waiting for someone, anyone, to step forward. Your filing lit the match. I sank into the couch, overwhelmed. But you need to stay calm, Daniel said gently. This is not your fault. You didn't create her instability. You didn't push her to this point. You simply protected Liam. I just wanted to see him. And you will, he said, sooner than you think. A tiny spark of hope opened inside me. Before hanging up, Daniel added, prepare yourself, Margaret. When she finds out the depth of this case, she won't react well. He was right, because Maya reacted sooner than expected. The next morning at 7:48 a.m., my phone began blowing up with notifications. First a text from Maya, then another, then 10 more, all of them frantic. What did you do? You're ruining my life. How dare you make me look unfit? Tell them you lied. Fix this now. And star moo. I stared at the messages, my hands trembling. Then one final message came through. If you keep pushing me, you're going to regret it. My breath froze. A threat, a real one. Before I could react, my phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't her. It was Daniel. She contacted you, didn't she? Don't answer. I'm handling it. My chest loosened. I wasn't alone in this. Not anymore. Minutes later, another message arrived from an unknown number. This is family court. A scheduled hearing has been set. All parties must appear. My hands shook as I read it over and over. This was happening, really happening. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I saw a path, a real path, straight toward my grandson, toward the truth, toward justice. The next few days moved like thick honey, slow, heavy, sticky with tension. Every hour felt longer than the one before it. I kept checking my phone, even when I wasn't expecting anything. My hands would shake every time a notification buzzed, half afraid it was Maya, half afraid it wasn't. But she didn't text again. Not directly. Instead, she exploded in other ways I didn't witness, but heard about soon enough. On Friday afternoon, my son James finally called. His name flashing on the screen made my heart collapse and swell all at once. I hadn't spoken to him since this began. I didn't know what Maya had told him. I didn't know if he blamed me, hated me, believed me, or her. I answered with a trembling breath. Jamie's. His voice came through tight and strained. Mom, what is going on? Just hearing him broke something inside me. I wish I knew where to start. He exhaled loudly, frustration spilling through the phone. Maya says you've launched some kind of court case against her. Is that true? I closed my eyes. There it was. The moment I'd feared. Yes. I whispered. Why? He demanded. Why would you do something like that? Something inside me snapped lightly, not angrily, but with a tired truth. Because, James, she banned me from seeing my grandson. There was silence. Not disbelief, not shock, just silence. Then he said softly, Mom, I didn't know. I swallowed hard. She didn't tell you? No, he murmured. She told me you weren't feeling well and you needed space. My heart sank to the floor. She lied to him too. Of course she did. James, I whispered. I went to your house. She told me I'm not allowed to see him again. A deep sigh came through the speaker. Mom, everything's a mess right now. She's been stressed. She feels like she's losing control. I didn't take anything from her. I said, my voice trembling. I only love Liam. Another silence. And then very quietly, I know. I froze. You know. I breathed. Yes, he said. His voice cracked a little. Lim adores you. It's obvious. Maybe that makes her insecure. I don't know. But she shouldn't have said those things. I'm not defending her. Shock rippled through me. For the first time, he wasn't blindly on her side. But before I could feel relief, he added, Still? Mom, going to court. That's extreme. The breath left my lungs. I whispered. She cut me out of his life. She told him I'm sick. She slammed the door in my face. She threatened to call security. What was I supposed to do? His breath hitched. I didn't know any of that. No, I said softly. Because she didn't want you to know. He didn't argue. He didn't defend her. He didn't deny it. Instead, he whispered something that broke my heart all over again. She's not herself lately. I frowned. What do you mean? She's been snapping easily, panicking, accusing me of things I didn't do. She barely sleeps. She gets angry over nothing. Sometimes she scares me. My chest tightened. James has something happened. Something that might explain her behavior. Another long silence. Then she's been meeting someone. I sat up straighter, blood rushing to my ears. Meeting whom? I don't know, he murmured. I found messages, vague ones, and she gets defensive whenever I ask. I don't want to accuse her without proof, but something feels wrong. A cold shiver ran through me. She might be hiding something, I whispered. He let out a broken laugh. Mom, she's hiding everything. The truth hit both of us at the same time, and it terrified us. Before I could respond, he added quietly, I'm going to the hearing. My breath caught. You are? Yes, he said firmly. Whatever happens, I need to know the truth. For the first time in days, a spark of hope lit inside me. Thank you, I whispered shakily. I didn't want you to pick a side. I'm not picking a side, he said. I'm picking Liam. That was the moment I realized something. James wasn't blind. He wasn't weak. He wasn't controlled as tightly as Maya thought. He was waking up. He was seeing her. And that made Maya even more dangerous. Because manipulator's fury is never stronger than when their control starts slipping. 2 days later, Sunday morning, everything imploded. I woke to 10 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. Then a voicemail. I pressed play, half dreading what I'd hear. It was my neighbor, Susan, the one who lived 3 houses down from Maya and James. Her voice was shaky, frantic, terrified. Margaret, oh my God, call me back. Something's happening at your son's house. I heard yelling, loud yelling, and your daughter-in-law stormed outside screaming at someone on the phone. She looked unhinged. Margaret, please call me. I don't know what's going on, but it didn't look safe. A cold wave washed over me. Not safe. Not safe. I called Susan immediately. She picked up on the first ring. Margaret, thank God. What happened? I asked urgently. I saw Maya pacing outside, she said breathlessly. She was screaming into her phone, throwing things. I thought she was going to break the glass door. And Liam was crying loudly. My heart stopped beating for a second. My lungs forgot how to breathe. Where is he now? I whispered. I don't know, she said. But it sounded bad. Before I could respond, another call came through. It was James. I switched immediately. James. His voice was exhausted, broken, shattered. Mom, he said quietly, I think you were right. My heart pounded. What happened? He exhaled shakily. The court notice pushed her over the edge. She lost control. She threw a vase. She screamed for an hour straight. She kept saying everyone is against her, me, you, the court, even Liam. She told him he betrayed her because he cried for you. Tears filled my eyes. She said he betrayed her. I whispered. Yes, he said. And that's when I realized I can't protect her anymore. I have to protect him. My breath shook. Where is Liam now? Safe, he said, with me. Relief rippled through my entire body. Then he added, and Mom, I'm testifying. I froze. You what? I'm telling the court everything, he said. Everything she's done, everything she hides, everything you didn't want to say. Tears spilled down my cheeks, not of fear, but of gratitude, of hope, because the war I never wanted to fight was no longer mine alone. James had joined me, and tomorrow everything changed. The hearing was coming, and Maya had no idea what was waiting for her. The morning of the hearing arrived with a heaviness that settled into every corner of my chest. I barely slept the night before. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Liam's face, confused, sad, wondering where I was, wondering why I suddenly disappeared from his small world. I kept whispering to myself, today is for him. Today, I fight for him. I dressed slowly, choosing a simple navy blouse and a long skirt, nothing fancy, just something clean and respectful. I wanted to look calm, steady, stable, because I knew Maya would walk into that courtroom ready to paint me as the opposite. At 8:15 a.m., I heard a car pull up. I looked through the window and saw James stepping out. He was wearing a pressed shirt, but his face looked heavy. His shoulders were tense, his eyes hollow with exhaustion, but also something else, determination. I opened the door before he could knock. Hi, Mom, he said softly. I hadn't hugged him in weeks, not since this nightmare began. So when he stepped forward, I wrapped my arms around him tightly. He held me for longer than usual, like a man who'd been holding a collapsing world alone and finally found someone to help carry it. "You ready?" he asked. I nodded even though I wasn't sure I was. We drove in silence for most of the ride. The tension in the air was thick, but not between us, between everything happening around us, between what today meant, between what could happen next. It wasn't until we reached the courthouse parking lot that James finally spoke. "She tried to keep me home," he said quietly. "Tried to convince me that you were the one destroying the family." My heart tightened. "I'm so sorry." He shook his head quickly. "No, Mom. Don't apologize. I should have seen things earlier. The signs were there." We walked toward the courthouse entrance, and a gust of cold morning air hit my face. It almost felt symbolic, like stepping into a storm. When we entered the lobby, I saw her. Maya. She stood near the chairs, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, her eyes red and swollen. Not from sadness, from rage. Her lawyer was beside her, whispering something while flipping through papers. But Maya wasn't listening. She was staring at me. Her stare was cold, sharp, vicious, and yet beneath it, I saw it. Fear. Real fear. "Mom," James said quietly, placing a gentle hand on my arm. "Let's sit." But before we could move, Maya stepped toward us. "So," she spat, "you really did it. You dragged us here. You dragged my son into this mess." I kept my voice steady. "Your son. My grandson. And this isn't a mess I created." Her lips curled. "Oh, don't pretend you're the victim. You've been manipulating James behind my back, turning him against me." James stepped forward. "No one manipulated me, Maya." She whipped her head toward him so fast, I thought she'd snap her neck. "Oh, really?" she hissed. "So you just suddenly hate me now? Because I won't let your mommy control everything?" He clenched his jaw. "This isn't about control. It's about Liam's safety." The moment he said, "safety," Maya's face twisted into something unrecognizable. Her lawyer tried to intervene, whispering for her to calm down, but she shoved his hand away. "You think I'm dangerous?" she shouted. "You think I'm a bad mother?" James didn't raise his voice. He didn't yell. He just said quietly, "I think you need help." The silence that followed was suffocating. Maya's eyes filled with something dark, not sadness, not fear, hatred. "You traitor," she whispered. "I should have known. You always take her side. Always. You're weak, a pathetic excuse for a husband. You think the court will believe you. You think anyone will believe her." She pointed at me like I was filth. "She's old, James. She's confused. She's obsessed with Liam. She pretends to be innocent, but she wants to replace me." I stepped forward slowly. "I don't want to replace you, Maya. I never wanted that. I just want to love him." "Oh, yeah!" she screamed. Her voice echoed through the lobby. A few people turned to look. A guard stepped closer, watching the situation. Her lawyer grabbed her arm this time and whispered urgently, "Stop. You're making it worse. Much worse." She tore her arm away, but she lowered her voice just enough to avoid being escorted out. "This isn't over," she whispered furiously. "I will not let you take him from me." Before I could respond, the courtroom door opened and a clerk called, "Case number 447, custody review and family hearing. Parties may enter." James touched my elbow gently. "Let's go." I could feel my heart pounding as we walked into the courtroom. Every step felt like walking through thick mud. The judge sat at the front, a seasoned man with a stern but calm expression. He looked the type who could spot lies before they were spoken. We took our seats. Maya sat with her lawyer. Her hands were trembling. Her leg bounced rapidly. Every few seconds, she glanced at the door, like she wanted to run. Daniel entered last. Calm, confident, with a stack of documents in his hand. He nodded to me, then whispered, "You're going to be all right." When the judge began, the room fell silent. We are here today to assess concerns involving parental behavior, allegations of interference with family relationships, and the welfare of a minor child. Those words hit Maya like a slap. Her lawyer stood quickly. "Your Honor, we object to the phrasing." The judge held up his hand. "Sit down. I've reviewed the preliminary reports. There is significant cause for concern." Maya's eyes widened. Significant cause for concern. The judge continued, "We will review testimony, evidence, and statements from all relevant parties." Then he looked at me. "Mrs. Turner, you may speak first." My breath trembled as I stood. This was it. The moment everything depended on. I glanced at Maya. She stared back at me with burning hatred. But beneath it, I saw something else. She wasn't in control anymore, and she knew it. I turned back to the judge. "My name is Margaret Turner," I said softly, "and I want to tell you everything." I exhaled deeply. For my grandson, I stood before the judge, my hands clasped tightly together, my heart pounding hard enough that I could hear it in my ears. For a moment, the courtroom felt like it disappeared. All I could think about was Liam, his little hands gripping mine, his warm laugh, the way he used to rest his head on my shoulder when he was tired. I reminded myself this is for him, not for revenge, not for pride for him. I took a breath. "Your Honor," I began softly. I never imagined I would ever be standing in a courtroom fighting for the right to see my own grandson. But here I am, because the person who should have protected that bond decided to break it. I looked down briefly, composing myself. Maya banned me from seeing him without warning. She told him I was sick. She slammed the door in my face. She threatened to call security on me for visiting my own family. The judge raised an eyebrow, not in surprise, but in recognition. He'd seen cases like this. I continued. "I have always cared for Liam with love and gentleness. I never interfered in their parenting. I only helped. Pickups, drop-offs, meals, books, bedtime routines. I filled in when they needed support." I could feel Maya's stare burning into the side of my face, but I didn't look at her. "And yet," I said quietly, "one day she decided I was a threat, that my love was too much, that Liam was getting too attached to me. She punished him for crying when I left." The judge leaned forward slightly. I swallowed hard. And then she told me I wasn't allowed to see him anymore. The courtroom went completely silent. The judge finally spoke. "Do you have evidence or witnesses supporting your claims?" I nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. Multiple." I gestured toward James. His hands tightened in his lap, but Maya's lawyer jumped up immediately. "Your Honor, we object to emotional manipulation. This is one-sided testimony." The judge raised a hand. "Sit down. You'll have your turn." The lawyer sat reluctantly. I continued, voice shaking now. Neighbors heard screaming. My son witnessed her emotional instability. She isolated Liam. She punished him for loving me. Maya suddenly stood up. "Tichi tasilai." Gasps rippled through the room. Her lawyer yanked her arm down. "Maya," he hissed. "Sit." But she ignored him. "You're twisting everything," she shouted. "You're making me look crazy." You're doing this because you want to take him away from me. You want to replace me? The judge slammed his gavel lightly. Mrs. Turner, he said sternly, you will sit down or I will remove you. She froze, eyes wild, chest rising and falling like she was struggling to breathe. Then she slowly sank back into her chair, her hands trembling violently. Her lawyer whispered urgently, you're hurting your case. Stop reacting. But she wasn't listening. She was falling apart. The judge turned back to me. Continue. I nodded. I don't want custody, I said softly. I don't want to take him away. I just want to protect the relationship he and I share. But I'll be honest, after seeing her behavior lately, I hesitated. The judge's eyes locked onto mine. Yes, I'm afraid for him. I'm truly afraid for his well-being. A faint, pained sound escaped Maya's throat. Her hand covered her mouth as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. But the expression wasn't guilt. It was panic. She knew I wasn't lying. And worse, the judge knew it too. Daniel stood now. Your Honor, we have additional information. There are documented neighbor complaints about volatile outbursts, concerns noted by bystanders. We've submitted copies to the court. He placed a stack of papers on the judge's bench. Maya's lawyer looked pale. The judge flipped through them, his expression tightening. After a long moment, he looked up. Thank you, he said. These documents will be reviewed. I returned to my seat, my legs trembling. James reached over and squeezed my hand gently. You did good, Mom. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I was still shaking. Then the judge looked at James. Mr. Turner, would you like to speak? James inhaled slowly and stood. His voice was steady, steadier than I'd ever heard it, but his eyes looked tired. Your Honor, he said, I love my wife. I love my family. I never wanted this. But what my mother said is true, and I need to be honest, even if it hurts. Maya's face crumpled. No, she whispered. Don't. But he continued. Over the last few months, Maya's behavior has changed. She's become more controlling, more anxious. She lashes out easily. She yells. She breaks things. She accuses me of things I didn't do. And Liam, he's scared sometimes. Maya let out a small sob but didn't speak. James continued softly. He tells me he wants Grandma. He cries at night because he doesn't understand why she disappeared. He asks if she's okay. He asks if he did something wrong. The judge's stern expression softened. And I realized, James said, voice cracking now, that Maya cutting my mother out wasn't about boundaries. It was about insecurity, fear, control. He looked at Maya, a look filled with sorrow. And I'm scared for my son. Maya put both hands over her ears like she couldn't bear to hear him. Stop, she whispered. Estiope, you're lying. You're choosing her over me. James shook his head slowly. I'm choosing truth. Her face twisted into anguish, then rage. You're both against me, she cried. Everyone is against me. This is what they want, to take him away from me. No one wants to take him, James said softly. But she was spiraling fast. They do, she screamed. They want to make me look insane. They want to destroy my life. Her voice rose into a shriek, echoing off the courtroom walls. The judge banged his gavel sharply. Mrs. Turner, control yourself. I am under control, she screamed. Her lawyer grabbed her arm. Sit down now. But she pulled away violently. Then, completely breaking, she collapsed into the chair, sobbing uncontrollably. It was silent for a long moment. Too long, the judge folded his hands slowly. Given the behavior I've witnessed, he said firmly, and the evidence presented, the court is concerned. Maya's sobs stopped abruptly. She looked up with wide, terrified eyes. Concerned? She whispered. The judge nodded. Yes, concerned for the child. The oxygen left the room. Even Maya seemed to stop breathing. The judge continued. Until further evaluation is complete, I am ordering temporary supervised visitation for Mrs. Maya Turner. She froze. Supervised. Visitation, not custody, not freedom. Supervision. Her face went white. No, she whispered. Additionally, the judge continued. The child's father will retain temporary primary custody, and Margaret Turner, the grandmother, will receive scheduled visitation, rights effective immediately. My heart nearly stopped. I would see Liam. I would actually see him. But the moment of relief was overshadowed by Maya's reaction. She stood violently, slamming her hands on the table. You can't do this, she screamed. You can't take my son. This is all her fault. She did this. She ruined everything. She pointed at me with shaking fingers. I'll make you pay. Gasps filled the courtroom. The judge's voice cut through the chaos. Mrs. Turner, sit down. She didn't. Guards stepped forward. For a second, Maya looked around, wild, breathing hard, as if realizing her world was collapsing in real time. Then she sank into her chair, shaking uncontrollably. The judge spoke one last time. Court adjourned. As we stepped out of the courtroom, everything finally hit me. It was over, at least for now. James put his arm around me and whispered, You get to see him, Mom. And for the first time in weeks, I let myself breathe. The hearing was over, but the weight of everything that had happened still hovered in the air like a storm that hadn't completely passed. I walked out of the courthouse feeling both lighter and heavier at the same time, relieved because the judge had seen the truth shaken because of the way Maya completely unraveled and terrified of what her incident next. But there was one thing that kept me steady, one thing. For me, that Chili's patient or the poison put me over the meditation. Well, we are James insisted I join him for dinner. He didn't want either of us alone after the emotional explosion in court. His home felt different when he opened the door, quieter, heavier, as if trauma had seeped into the walls. But then a small sound reached my ears, a soft, familiar voice coming from the living room. Daddy, is Grandma here? My heart nearly burst. Before I could speak, Liam came running around the corner, his curls bouncing, his eyes hopeful. When he saw me standing in the doorway, he froze, his small mouth opened, his eyes grew wide. And then, Grandma, he sprinted toward me, throwing his little arms around my waist. With such force, it nearly knocked the breath out of me. I dropped to right above me to my knees. Hugging him as tightly as I dared, my tears fell into his hair, my body shaking, his little hands gripping the back of my sweater. I missed you. He whispered, his voice trembling, where you were, and she said you were sick, and then Daddy said you were okay, but Mommy got mad and I was scared, and I kissed his forehead. It's okay, Sue, that I'm here now, and I'm right here. He hugged me even tighter. You mad at me, Grandma. We're going to mad at you. That whiskey really mouth. Quickly, me mad at you. We was there, me ma. Baby, never not for 1 second. I love you more than anything in this world. He buried his face in my shoulder. James watched from a distance. His eyes red, his jaw clenched. He wasn't crying, but the pain was his face. When Liam finally let go, he sat next to me on the couch, holding my hand like he was afraid I might disappear again. Daddy said, tomorrow we go somewhere special with you. He said softly, slow. No one will make a style champion, or it was slowly with them. His spread chin slowly, like slowly. Worried, Grandma, Mommy was really mad today. She was yelling. She threw my dinosaur toy and she cried a lot. Is she okay? Pain twisted inside me. How much had he seen? How much had he heard? I glanced at James. He looked away, ashamed, broken. I smoothed Liam's curls and whispered, sometimes grown-ups get upset, but none of it is your fault, okay?
Say to me after, but I fell asleep on the couch. Motion for me, James. Motion for me to join me in the city of feet. Exhausted into anywhere he wasn't finishing anywhere. He was showing anywhere. He's expression to anywhere. Just thought that when certain annual. So if you search something anywhere, he's like, there's certain kid in your anywhere. Sure, there's something anywhere. He's a tough guy. So whatever she said, quite a lot of there's several among the new where she was tight in the third. 2 years falling off a lot. My head. Last mom marries me, I hand through it. I don't think I'm going to be better than the words of Carmen. I don't know. He's from when he's all the way to go to run up to Carmen as well. He's started to lose it all. No one have nature with all the Zoom pulling on. He was living like it was like an heavy chance to reveal the watch it. So he's always it was like me. Guess what?
Sleep refused to come to me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Liam's worried little face, his voice echoing in my mind. Is mommy okay? And the message James received, you have no idea what she's capable of. The words crawled under my skin like ice because suddenly I realized they weren't a warning. They were a threat. Someone was watching and someone knew what was happening. I wanted us to know we were in danger at around 2 a.m. Unable to calm the pounding in my chest, I finally walked into the living room and sat on the couch where Liam had fallen asleep earlier. The blanket he used was still there. I pulled it into my arms and pressed my face against it, trying not to cry. Everything felt out of my control. Everything except one thing. I was not backing down, not when Liam needed me, not when Maya's mask had finally begun to crack, not when the truth was closer than ever. The next morning, Daniel called us early. His voice was sharp, focused, all business. Margaret. He said, James told me about Maya's medical history. We need documentation. James stepped closer to the phone. I can get it. I found the old files in the basement. She never thought I'd look there. Daniel paused. That explains a lot. And it changes everything, her untreated condition, her outbursts, her instability.
Daniel's psychedelics will request the full psychedelic evaluation for Maya, and if you refuse, the court can suspend her visitation only for Liam City. I class my hands to be horror station, but whatever. The next question. Still, people don't break clients. They take them away later. She can't be the primary caregiver at every sign point, so should be the other right now. She's going to try to what all some very exposed, so the June be the never sign point. Slow, primary caregiver. That was bullshit. Words. So we say calm, we stay steady, she's unraveling. The course was I was here, but deep inside I was afraid because people like my wind corner become dangerous that even there's time from selling another call. Even her time for another call was expected. Her sister serious and all I did stir behind over ID missed by shit of calls whisper Hannah James deeper ever ID missed by his whole body was Charlie nearby as James here.
But I didn't drink it, I just held it, letting the warmth steady my shaking hands, because every instinct inside me was screaming, something was coming. Something we weren't prepared for. James came in quietly, checking the front window like he'd been doing nonstop since last night. Mom, he said softly, she's not home. What do you mean? She left early, no car, no note, nothing. And Liam, he asked why she didn't say goodbye. My heart dropped. Maya never leaves without her car. I know. James whispered, that's what scares me. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed, not a normal buzz, the sharp, urgent kind. He looked at the screen and the color drained from his face. It's that number again. He murmured, the same unknown number that sent the threat last night. What does it say? He swallowed, then read it aloud. She made her choice. Now you make yours or lose everything. I felt cold all over. This wasn't just someone whispering in her ear. This was someone giving order, was following them blindly. We needed to go to Daniel. I said immediately, and I'm saying didn't argue. James was feeling, but he grabbed his keys. Like the colors are cold over. And minutes later, we were in the car, heading to Daniel's office. My hands trembled the entire drive, every worst case scenario circling in my mind like vultures. What if she took Liam? What if she was planning something reckless? What if she hurt herself? If she hurt someone else when we arrived? Daniel ushered us inside instantly. He could tell from our faces something was wrong. What happened? He asked sharply James. Showed him the message. Daniel's eyes hardened. This is escalating faster than expected. It's hidden. I whispered. The man controlling her, manipulating her, whoever he is, he's pushing her. Daniel tapped his finger against his desk. Thinking fast then, he said the words that made my blood run cold. We need to request an emergency welfare check on both her and the child now before she does something irreversible. She's not home, James said. She's out there somewhere and she's not thinking clearly. Daniel took a deep breath. Okay. We take the next step. We evolve a police alert. This is no longer just a custody issue. It's a safety threat. Before he depicted what he threatened through the sea phone, before he released this, the phone, where rush spinner. A door burst open. Her hair was messy. Her eyes red. Her breathing uneven. I've been trying to reach you, she gasped. You need to listen. I found something. You won't believe it. What did you find? I asked. She held up her phone with shaking hands. This is the man, the one she's talking to her, the one who she's been leaning for lies, the one who's convincing her that all of you are enemies. James and Orderhood, her family men, who once tried to take him away from her family, but and who to go from her this man, who she go and told he's what she top and it was her sound. She was thinking her, his skin was shed. Shock, I can't believe this all this time. She wasn't fighting alone. She had someone pushing her, someone dangerous. They all stood slowly. His expression more serious than I'd ever seen, which is everything. See, this man is a threat. If he's influencing her decisions, especially involving a child, we can find emergency order immediately. But before he could effective order immediately, before he could even tremble, he prevented the broken eye of the collar. I would not just how breathe out. Listening, whatever, let's all the was him. Come alone, she let out a shaky breath. I didn't mean for things to get so bad. He said, I had to fight that you and your mother were trying to take Lamb. He told me not to trust you, not to trust anyone. He lied about everything. James's chest tightened home. Voice cracked kind of home. Please, we can talk. More silence then. I didn't know him until my but Jace. Coaching him, my wife again, watching us mine. We so out of me. We was playing the room. My voice saw him. Yeah, what was our sorry? Margaret, I never meant to hurt you or Liam or anyone. I broke. Maya, you can fix this, you can get help, just come home, we'll support you, we'll protect you from him, protect you from him. Her breathing grew shaky, broken, but then her tone shifted soft, barely audible. I have to go, please forgive me. And the call ended. James lowered the phone slowly, his face drained of all color. Daniel spoke first. We need to find her now, before she makes another mistake. Let's try those mom. Before this spiraled further, her be court and will just breakfast for mom. She found the frozen we out because of the anymore. This Daniel's friends anymore. Just a farm leader. Just now was flag. We're going to get rid of the row. the manipulator pulling her strings.
Okay, predator called for all the searches she caused the water was with fear the more paralyzing was the more paralyzing fish was the more paralyzing fish to try to when she was trying to save 2 hours at the free 2 highway overwhelming I've been so bad and there's no full and there's no for and never enters but it don't want you